So let's move on to interacting with legislators. So first of all, where do you find them? I find their information. My favorite source is texastribune.org/directory. And regardless of how you feel about Texas Trib's news, they have actually a very fabulous and helpful directory. And this is an important note. Some will be information will be temporarily out of date as newly elected members transition into new roles. Okay, so they're still in transition. We'll see how long it takes them to actually get their information switched over and updated for the new session. But let's go to the Texas House, and you can scroll down. I'm just gonna pick random people. So, presumptive Speaker of the House is Dennis Bond, and we'll go ahead and look at his profile here. So he has enough pledges that he is the presumptive Speaker to be elected next Tuesday. So you can see they're sorted, originally sorted by last name. You can also sort them by district if you want here. So, hey, who's District 5? Okay, Cole Hefner. Who's District 1? Again, this is House District. You can also do the same thing for senators. Okay, so back to the Texas House. Same thing for Congress, but I'm just focusing on Texas at the moment. So you can sort them by city they live in, sort them by the party. Let's go back to sorting by name. So let's go ahead and take a look at presumptive Speaker. Click his name there, and again, you can see a photo. You can see what the representative looks like. You can see a hyperlinked district that you click there, and you get a map of the district that's interactive. You can scroll in and scroll out. So he's there, that little stretch on the coast between Galveston and Corpus Christi. Okay, so we got that. You can see all the counties in his district, the cities, the school districts, the zip codes, the precincts. So if you have a mailing list, you want to mail everybody in somebody's district, you can match up zip codes on the zip code report. You can also see election results. So he hasn't had people running against him for a little bit. Not last general election anyway. So you can see election results there. Let's go back and you can see more information, his email, his websites, his Facebook. Usually they'll have Twitter if they have a Twitter account. They'll even have a Twitter live feed here where you can see all of that. They'll have the Capitol office phone number and location. Note that a lot of the locations are changing. A lot of the offices get to move at the beginning of each session. So the new members are moving, I think, today, and the existing members already completed their moves a couple of weeks ago. So they are now in new offices, but it might not be reflected here yet for another week or two, maybe. You can also see their district office information. So he has a district office in Angleton. You don't have to go all the way to Austin to meet with your representative. In fact, your representative has a small enough district, you should be able to meet with them in your district if you ask and are willing to work with them for scheduling. So district office phone number is that number right there. You can see what committees he's on. You can see staffers. And again, election results there and more information. So these are all the reasons why I like the Texas Trib website for just finding information about a person. And pro tip, people text me a lot asking for contact information for people, or if I have contact information or email address for any of the representatives or their staffers. You know what I do is I come to this website and I copy and paste from this website and I send it to them. So I don't have any, yes, I collect my own information too, but typically this information is usually the best. And again, staffers will be changing for a lot of offices, but in the next couple of weeks they should have those firmed up there. So that's where I like to find the information. Now, what do you do with it? Whoops, I skipped this slide. Okay, so visit them, like I said, at the district office or at the Capitol office. If you're going to be in Austin, call ahead and make an appointment with, at least with staff. If you ask to meet with a representative or senator and they say, well, he or she's not available, but we can, we'd be happy to have staff meet with you, say yes. Always, always, always try to meet with staff. Get to know that staff. So,
Rachel.
Yes.
There's a question that is, while you're talking about it, how difficult is it to meet up with the representatives, the legislatures at their district offices during the session?
It depends. So you just need to call the district office and get to know the staff. It's going to be different for everybody. Some of them, their whole families actually mostly move to Austin for a few months during session so they can all be together. Some of them make every effort, especially at the beginning of session, to go back. I mean, they might be spending 2 or 3 days a week in Austin. For the first month or two, there's not a ton going on as they're getting organized. Hopefully they get moving quickly, but they're going to be spending a lot of time still back in the district. So some of them may prefer to meet in district because it's easier, it's less time away from families. Some of them may be in Austin a whole lot more. So it just depends. Get to know your district staff a lot, and they'll give you heads up and be able to help out with that. Also, if your legislators are at town hall meetings or club meetings in your area, anywhere within striking distance, really try to attend those and raise your hand and ask the questions. I don't ask trick questions. I ask the real legit questions like, do you support constitutional carry? Do you plan to sign on to constitutional carry? What do you think is the best, or what are your beliefs on constitution? Just whatever you want to know, ask those questions and get it on video, get it on record there. That's good. But that's basically how I find them. And then as far as effectiveness levels of your interaction, okay, emails and phone calls and letters, I put at the least effective side. I believe emails, calls, and letters are altogether the least effective ways. But note, I did not say ineffective. Ineffective is doing nothing. Emails and calls and letters, the deal with that is you end up being a number on a list. So you call or you email. Even if you address your email to the representative and you send it to their actual representative email address, I can almost guarantee you the representative will never read it. Some cases that's not true, but usually it's going to be a staffer who reads it and says, okay, this 5-page letter with attachment and exhibits is all meaning that this person supports constitutional carry. So what am I going to do about this? I'm not going to forward this to the legislator. I'm not going to print this up for the legislator. I'm going to say, okay, this person actually supports this issue. So I'm going to go to my computer logging system. I'm going to say, okay, we have one person in support of constitutional carry. And you write a 5-page letter. That's exactly the same as calling and saying, hey, I'm a constituent. Please support this. Thanks. Bye. It's exactly the same as far as the result. You're a number on a list. Now, that's not a bad thing. I mean, even if you know your representative already supports a certain issue, you still need to actually pick up the phone and make that call so they can have it in their records of, yeah, we're going to do this anyway, but you know what? We do have the support of our legislators or of our constituents in this. So that's important. But if that's all that you do, you're never going to get to actually have a conversation with them and really have a shot at changing their minds. So meeting with staff and meeting with representatives are both very important ways of getting that face time, getting them to know you, having the conversation about why these things are important and presenting your reasons. But I would say by far the most effective method is to show up at a committee hearing and testify, because then you're participating not just with your own legislator, but with people earlier on in the process. So what if your legislator really supports an issue? You persuade them and they're great, but they're not on the committee, they're not on the calendars committee. The only shot they have at supporting it is if it gets to the floor. What if it never gets to the floor? It doesn't matter. But what if you're doing all these things not just with your own legislator, but with the committee chairman, with the committee members? You're getting to know them. You're going to the club meetings in their districts, and you're showing up and asking the questions, and they see you there. They get to know you. You show up to testify in these committee hearings. They see you. You bring testimony. You bring compelling testimony. You're a credible witness. That is so much more effective. So that's the thing that I really can't stress enough about how important it is to do it. Are there any questions about specifically logistics of meetings or contact with legislators?
We do have a couple questions there. How do you track the reps, town halls, clubs, etc., or basically wherever they're going to be to best catch them?
There's not an official tracking system. Look on their Facebook page. Sometimes they will post that. If you follow sometimes like county chairs or precinct chairs or various clubs in your area. I mean, y'all have a party organization. I mean, the Constitution Party. So you could take it upon yourselves to, try to start putting out word, whatever your area organizers are. That would be something actually really helpful to do. If I were you doing that, I would say just call the staff directly and say, hey, when is Representative so-and-so going to be having, appearing at any meetings in the district. Talk to their scheduler. Most of these representatives have a dedicated scheduler to set up their scheduling and decide and pin down when they're going to be at what club meetings and town halls, etc. So that's a good way of figuring that out.
Okay. Also, another question. My representative hands out his cell phone number. Am I really reaching that rep on that number?
It depends. Jonathan Stickland is like the only person I have known to literally put out his cell phone on his campaign signs. And there may be others who do this too, but the one that I know of. And I have actually called his office and he has answered himself personally. That's a rarity. But I do believe there are other representatives who will share their cell phone numbers sometimes. It depends on the legislator. Sometimes they'll share a cell phone number, but it might be monitored by a staffer, who receives their text and responds to it. So I can't say.
Okay. Is there a way to obtain an email list for either certain groups, an email list for committees, or email list for all of the legislators? Is there somewhere to be able to obtain something like that?
How to obtain the emails I just showed you, so hopefully you paid attention to that because that is on Texas Trib. All the email addresses are there. The other thing is they all follow a format, in case you didn't kind of pick up on it. It's dennis.bonin or first name dot last name at house.texas.gov, right? If he becomes speaker, I think he'll be getting a special speaker address, I think. But it's at house.texas.gov for the representatives, at senate.texas.gov for the senators. And so you can set up a script pretty easily on Excel, get a list of legislators. I have my own personal list of legislators I went through and got. I'd be happy to share that if somebody needs it. It's all public information. You can also just look through here and say, okay, here are the legislators, and write those out.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was the gist of the question was, if there was a full list versus just going and snagging them by one.
I create my own, but I am happy to share it if you can give me a good reason, or tell me what you're going to do with it and how you're going to help the cause, and I'll be happy to share the information that's not private cell phones I've gotten confidentially, but anything that's public. Yeah, I honestly, I'll share that with anybody.
All right, I think that's it for the moment.
Cool.